Hi, my name is Ray Catull, and you may know me from the such projects as... You may also know me as the host of the internet's favorite harness handicapping show, North American Harness Update, which I host with these two guys, Mike Prebosi and Rod Adams Jr. Every Friday from 9 p.m. Eastern, you can catch us talking harness, handicapping harness, and most importantly, having fun with harness. Can we please get this stuff out of my face? Thank you! North American Harness Update, Fridays from 9 on SRN1. Also download Often Pacing and using promo code NAHU200K, start your stable with an additional 200,000 coins. You can also catch show archives and racing analysis over at our website, NAHUPicks.com!
But it's a typically cycle most of your typical ones. We get a lot of those.
And see, in the professional world, but you do things repeatedly because most people won't see it more than once. Mm. And as I'm talking to you from away at the camera, the late pick four at the Meadowlands $50,000 guaranteed pool starts with race number 8, as it does each and every single race card. They used to start with race number 7, but then they changed it with the addition of the Survivor bet. But that's history, and why does that matter? So the first leg of this sequence is the 8th. It's an hour's a $15,000 race in their last 5 starts. Optional claiming tag. Here's some other conditions that just explain how the horses got the posts they did. 10 horses lining up in this annexed condition race. And I'm going to send it off to you, Rod, to start off, because you got guts, gumption, and gumbo. You're singling the 1 entry.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and single the 1 there, or the ones, plural. They do have the 9 and 10 hole, but I think these two horses, between the two of them, they're good enough. More importantly, the 9, Stars in Heaven. He is the inside of the entry there. Vic Kirby jumps on tomorrow night. This horse has been racing in the preferreds and the opens, has beat those horses in the preferreds and opens, comes off a really good race last time, last half, I believe, in like 54 flat. So this one is in good form, has been pretty good recently over several starts, and 5 back does have a winning line there. Although it was off a perfect trip, but this is a drop from where this horse has been. So that's the reason why I like this horse in particular. And then you get the additional horse in the 1A coming off of the qualifier. Has missed about 3 months, but good qualifier. I'm going to give that one a start and just go with Stars in Heaven here.
Mike, you can't do that. You had to go a little bit deeper than just the 1 entry here. Why?
Well, I agree with Rod that the 1 is a standout on class, but I think he's hard to trust, especially from the 9 hole. And he was sharper back in early February when he won that race, and then ever since, he's kind of had a few bad races at Dover, albeit in the slop. Last time he was 6 out of 7, was never threatening any of those top horses. Now gets the drop. I don't really like the post. This horse typically needs to get a setup to win. So I'll use defensively. But there's a couple horses on the way up that I like, and that's the 6, Griffin Hanover. This horse, started back numbers of 11-5, raced well to be 3rd, and was 50-1 that night. Then last time drew the 2 hole and flew home 27-3 to win at almost 12-1. The horse is sharp, 3rd back. I think you need to use that one. The 8 Endeavor's dropping out of preferred also. Really had no chance the last few races. This is Pat LaChance. You really never know what you're going to get, but this horse is typically a closer. I think, though, that should be a little bit closer just on the class drop, so I'm going to use that one. And then the 9 Durant was claimed for 24 back and has raced well in 25s and 30 optional claimers, which, face great vintage, Lawrencetown Beach. Those are horses that would be very well bet in this race. His speed has the main contender outside of him. I think you need to use that one also. So 1, 6, 8, 9.
I'm only a fan. Actually, I don't like the word fan. I only could see the one entry in terms of class really doing well here, but I don't single. I'm too deep in this race. And of course, the one end of that entry versus the 1A stands out a lot more in class, particularly because the lines on Stars in Heaven show him to have struggled against tougher horses rather than being so over his head that he's actually digressing in form. Degrading in form? It's degrading in form. Digressing is not a word. However, aside from him, I also agree with Durant. This horse has been racing incredibly sharply as he moves up in class to take a $50,000 tag this week. And that race in particular last week, too, really just emphasizes the form this horse is in right now. Being a part of the pace battle against Great Vintage and Lawrencetown Beach to set up fractions like 26 and change, 54 and change, 21 even, in a 30,000 optional claimer. This horse definitely fits at this level because this numbers at 15,000 otherwise is filled with a slew of horses moving up from the numbers of $8,500 level. So this is a much weaker collection of horses than usual for this class, which could end up playing in the favor of Durant, especially because of how sharply he's been racing. And hopefully it's a decent price too in the move up in class. So I'm 1-9 here in that opening leg of the pick four. The second leg is the 9th race. Don't get that confused. I've done it way too many times. So now it's $3,500 in their last 5 starts. Purse is $6,500. We got 1, 4, 6, 10, 9 horses going grocery in this race. And Mike, this was the leg that you felt so strongly about that you went and singled.
Yeah, I'm singling the inside horse. This horse is dropping from numbers of 5,000. Had been racing as high as numbers of 10,000 at Yonkers early February. 2 back, got a rough trip, lost to Beyond Delight and Siskel. Those are better than these horses. And then last time I felt had no chance from where he was in that Artsma race where he just gutted out a win, basically parked the entire mile. The trainer's correct. This 16%. I feel like with this post, in this race where there's a lot of question marks and a lot of horses that are struggling, that he's a very most likely winner. So I'm going to try to single the one here.
The trainer does look correct. As last I checked, Robert Bongiorno does train this horse and not Chev Boyardee. Those are two very different people.
Appreciate that.
I mean, you said the trainer was correct, so I'm just verifying that you were right in saying that. But Rod, for you also like Majak Kobe Bryant in this race, but you take 2 others.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Mike on Kobe.
Kobe!
But you like that one? That was a good one.
I did like that.
I do like the one.
Take the video to work ever, but you're great on the soundboard.
I like the one, but I just don't trust a horse like that. 2 for $1 billion last year and this year. Just not my type of horse to single. I'm going to throw the 2 on there, Sporty Red Hot. Second start off the layoff. Horse, just went around from the outside last week and just chased him. I thought needed the race and should be much tighter coming into this race tomorrow night. Draws a 2-hole, and Jim Pantaleano drives. Decent price play here if this horse stays close and if he's good enough and tight enough. And then the 5, Mr. Sensi, I'm going to use this horse. Coming down from Woodbine, has been facing cheap horses up there the last couple starts, but prior to that, this horse was racing against upper level condition horses, and the horses this one was in against were much, much better. I mean, you just look velocity driven. This horse only got beat a few lengths to that horse, and he's been racing, kind of toggling back and forth between the preferreds and the upper level conditions. So, there's reason to like this horse. He hasn't been in very good form, but maybe the barn change will help this horse and changing venues as well. So I'm going to throw him on just in case. So 1, 2, 5.
I agree with the 1 and the 5. I use 2 of those horses. And if you come on down to Dale's Used Cars, I don't know why I chose Dale's Used Cars voice. It was mostly because I had incoming gas. Outcoming gas? 1 and 5 are horses I use.
The other two horses I throw on are the 4 Stratocaster, purely on past form. This horse has raced very well at this level in the past at the Meadowlands. It has some okay starts over a half mile. He races much better on the bigger track, as his efforts last year showed. Drops down from the hours of 5,000 to hours of 3,500 and should take back to the track as he did last year, and probably at a decent price off those lines. I also throw on the 6 What a Horse, shipping in from Freehold, stretching those old legs. This 12-year-old gelding has some decent miles over at Freehold against similar competition. He's usually involved in the races, going wide, going first over, getting into the mix somehow to hit the board or cash a check. And that's a good sign, especially moving to the bigger track, to show that this horse might have a bit of initiative when only going 2 turns instead of 4. So I'm 1, 4, 5, 6 in the second leg of this pick. For the third leg is race number 10. Again, don't get those numbers mixed up. I've done it way too many times. Numbers of 8,500 in the last 5 starts. $12,000 purse. There's 8 horses lining up. And starting off with you, Rod, you're the deepest of all of us. Why 5? What do you need 5 horses for?
Because I think 5 horses can win the race. I'll start with the 3, Rather Swell. Vic Kirby jumps on in this race tomorrow night. Andy chose a different horse, that being Andy Miller. Horse is not much of a winner the last couple of years, but horse has talent, has been pretty good lately, and faces a similar bunch again. And I think maybe Vic Kirby could wake this thing up. He did win on this horse 5 starts back at Dover, so he knows the horse at least, and I think this one's a pretty good price play. The 4, Mr. Truth, I'm going to throw this one on. Usually leaves and looks to get a 2-hole trip. Hasn't been getting there recently, but I do think this horse, in a similar bunch, doesn't really get beat by anybody that is in this race. So I'm going to go ahead and use. Why am I echoing?
You good?
The 5, Maroma Beach. I'm throwing that one on. Second time Lasix. Good qualifier, and that was off 3 months. This horse, if ready, and Burke usually sends him out ready, should be right there at the wire. Pat LaChance is driving, but I'm not going to let that deter me. The 7, Southern Pursuit. I use this one, even though at the outside, just because Andy's driving this horse. This is the one he picked. Last time was trying to 2-move and got used pretty hard making the lead, and then only got beat a couple lengths there. So that was a good race on the jumping class. This horse should be leaving once again, and could make the lead here. Hopefully get some soft fractions, and if on the front end, this horse will be dangerous. And then I'll throw the 8 on there as well, Siskel. Comes off a really good race last time. Brett Miller jumps on. He drove this horse 2 back, finished second. So this one, you're probably not going to get much of a price on him, but I think needs to be used. So 3, 4, 5, 7, 8.
Now, Mike, do you agree with any of what Rod just said?
I like some of the ones he says. I'm 4 deep. I like the outside 2 horses best. Siskel was very good off the layoff. Those races on the 24th and the 3rd of March were decent. Had a win and then lost it beyond the lights. Last time really wasn't in the right spot, and all week was sitting on a win. I'd just throw that race out. So I think that horse is a likely winner. The 7, Southern Pursuit, had the 9-hole last time, was parked early, really couldn't win from that spot. Should be up close again. I would think probably in the pocket behind the 6. I think a better trip could equal a better finish. The 5, Maroma Beach, that's Burke. Second Lasix, off a cue. Has a little bit of back class to him. I like the horse, the fact that the horse is 10 times out of 17 in the money. So that horse doesn't spend too much time, not racing well. So I use that one. And then the 2, Durrell, 3rd start back, comes in from Yonkers. Had bad post. It's Ryder. McCarthy, probably going to close. Needs a little bit of a setup, but I'll try that one also. 2, 5, 7, 8.
As for me, this is the 3rd leg. I'm 3 deep. starting with the one who in the third leg, I remember his name, Jeremy's General. That's right. Thank you, memory. Whew, I knew it could serve me well. What's really strange about this race is most of these horses are coming out of the all-week race. And the thing with that race, for lack of a better term, is that there were 7 horses finishing right behind him. And a lot of these horses have lines that look decent as a result. Like, for instance, the 3 Rather Swell seems like he has a decent line, but he had nothing in that race. So, for me, he's a toss. And the same for some other horses like Southern Pursuit, who totally chased in that race. I'm not a big fan of. However, Jeremy's General, off the rail, was towards the center of the track, flying late under very little encouragement to gain 5 lengths in the course of the stretch, coming 27 flat. He was the most impressive finisher of the bunch in that race, and for me, that's good enough reason to throw on, just because it's such a hard race to look at. I'm a big fan of I keep saying big fan. I'm not a big fan. However, I do like the 2 Durrell, especially looking 3 starts back to that qualifier against Dr. J. Hanover. It's always interesting to see horses gain ground when they're in qualifiers against actual stakes type horses. That's a really good sign to look for. And this horse has been racing primarily in the half mile, now moves to the bigger track, probably will take to the bigger track much more, and has also been racing against maybe a bit tougher, admittedly, onwards of 6 parimutuel, and also just hasn't had the right circumstances to put his best foot forward, whichever foot that might be. It could be the front hind or the left hoof, who knows? But then the other horse I throw on is the 8 Siskel. He was the second most impressive closer out of that all-week race, coming towards the center of the track to finish 5th, coming 27-2. He draws outside again. He's got some decent lines. He's been in against tough horses, most notably Beyond Delight 2 starts back when he was 2nd against this company. He's the more obvious horse in this race. But all that said, I'm 1-2-8 in the third leg of the sequence. Final leg.
You got about 1 minute to London. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, so we're not going to get to the final leg just yet. We are going to get to this last leg at London. And this last leg with 55, with seconds to post, features 2-1 favorite, the 5 Holly's Justice. Who won the last race? Oh, the 3. So Mike has arrived to the 3, 5, and 9. 3's currently 6-1. The 5's currently 2-1. The 9 currently 8-1. Take a look at these will pays for this ticket.
They're just okay.
Yeah, you make some money back.
Yeah. It chalked out a little there. I mean, but it's all right. Win's a win if you can get it. The 3 should not be 5-1 here. That's a little high, I think.
I can't really say I like much on this betting board. I can say a lot of things. But Future King to me seems like a massive underlay at 5-1.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sugar likes that horse. I want nothing to do with that horse, especially in the second tier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's rough gated to begin with.
I'm kind of interested in the 1 at 8-1. That's a decent price. Okay.
I like the 1.
It's tea time.
I like the 1 at a decent price.
8-1 on Princess Juliana. That's the sentences are happening currently.
Was that you, like, in the middle of a stroke? You're like,
No, it was my insecurities manifesting themselves. 9-horse field coming up. 7 in line, 2 in behind. 6-5 action on the 5 Holly's Justice, floating up to 9-5 now in the final clicks. Second choice at 4-1, the 8 Future King. Third choice at 5-1, the 3 Tax Savings. This is the final from London. It's in motion, approaching the start, and it's off and trotting. Tax Savings leaves out, as does Northern Oath, as does Lucrative Sun. Those 3 spread across the track. Princess Julianne trots into 4th around that turn. Future King 5th. Backing towards 6th, AJ Ricochet off stride. Going to the opening quarter went Northern Oath, so that leaves Lucrative Sun in control here by 2.5. Tax Savings chases 2nd, Princess Julianne 3rd. Future King is 4th, gap then of 4.5 to AJ Ricochet 5th. Holly's Justice back 6th, followed by BJ Savannah towards the rear with Talbot Creek Susie, and then the early breaker Northern Oath is in the back of the field as they trot around that first turn and move on to the top of the stretch for the first time. 17-1 shot here dictating the terms. It's Lucrative Sun, but out of fifth, AJ Ricochet pulls, forcing the hand of Princess Julianne, flushed out from third into the stretch first time. Boxed in, Future King trots fourth. Behind them, Holly's Justice sixth, as Princess Julianne inches towards Lucrative Sun to challenge past the halfway point. And approaching the clubhouse turn for the second time. Tax Savings, meanwhile, occupies the pocket, a length and 3/4 off the lead second, looking for room to tip out. Future King locked in by AJ Ricochet, stalled to the outside. Behind that, Holly's Justice, the favorite, with about 5 lengths to make up as they move down the backstretch. Princess Julianne advancing towards a narrow lead over Lucrative Sun, battling back to the inside. But off the rail, here comes Future King now, looming closer and looming large for Shepard. Future King, 3 wide around that final turn, overtakes Lucrative Sun and Princess Julianne from in between, shooting up the inside. Holly's Justice looking for room, 2 lengths away. And then behind the wall, Tax Savings turning for home. Future King, a narrow lead towards the center, but Princess Julianne fights onto her inside. Holly's Justice nowhere to go to the inside of Lucrative Sun. Then it's Tax Savings, but it's Princess Julianne coming back to fend off Future King. Looked like Tax Savings might have held on there for third.
Flag. What was that drive on the 5 there exactly? Did he think that they were going to fall down in front of him and he was going to jump over them?
If anything,
watch
he
how
was the one
fast
that
he
was
grabs up on that one.
At the top of that stretch.
Ooh.
I mean, they did. They were falling down. The pace was.
Well, he was trying to jump them.
He just didn't get the right room at the right time. And then Princess Julianne 8-1 down to 4-1. 1-8-3-9. Then completing that high 5. Is that the?
Two.
That was the 2. Okay. 1-8-3-9-2. In that high 5, and in the last from London, Rod and I touting Princess Julianne is the only horse of much value. Future King raced way better than expecting, though. Made a big move. Just if there was 1/16 of a mile less.
Let's go back to the Meadowlands.
Last leg.
Okay, so let's try and pep up Mike's spirits a bit with the $7,500 claimer. $5,500 purse. Race 11 from the Meadowlands. The final leg of the late pick 4. 9 horses going postward in this race. Rod, starting with you, 4 deep.
No, I'm 5 deep.
5 deep.
Start with the 1, Fox Valley Cadet. Got a nice trip last time. Did get parked past the quarter in that last race from the outside. Draws the rail. In this race, probably going to be the favorite here, if not second favorite. I think you have to use, especially from the rail after a couple of bad posts 2 times in a row. The 3, Charmborough Curiosity. Raced first over last week. Got a little bit tired on the end, but raced really well. Only got beat a length. The horse on the front end was tiring. Everybody was kind of faltering there the last 16th of a mile, and this one just kept digging and digging. I thought it was a really good race. So I'm going to throw that one on as well. The 4, Flying with Royalty, I'm going to use. This one likes to leave. Draws pretty well here. It's Mitch Cushing. Just got beat last time on the lead. Went a little bit too fast, but I'm going to keep using this horse. You're getting decent prices on this horse week in and week out now. So, no reason not to throw him on, especially the way that they're not really playing him. The 5, Danish Du Jour, come from way back last week. I thought raced really well, had no prayer, and was just flying on the end of it. This horse is a must-use for me. One of my top plays of the night, actually. And then the 7, Outcry. I'm throwing this one on. Should see kind of a similar race as you saw last week from this one. Coming from the back. Should be following some live cover. And if this horse is drug up close enough, I think could win. But is going to have to be drug up into a decent pace there toward the end. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 7 to finish mine.
Now, Mike, those sounds very similar to your numbers.
Very similar indeed. The only one I don't use is the 4 because of Cushing. I really have no interest in him. Agree with Rod. The 1 should be favored. Beat these horses last time. Draws the rail this time. The 3, Schoenbrook Curiosity, closed last time. Into the race, was outside a long ways. Had 3 tough trips in a row. He needs to get a break. But the problem is he's 0 for 7 on the year. The 5, I agree with very much. This horse was good in January, and then kind of has been off form. Woke up a little last time. Flew home 27-1. I like that. I like the wake up. And the problem is you're not going to get 20-1 again. I think he'll probably be closer to 5 or 6. And then Outcry, the 7, another closer. Just got beat an inch last time to the 1. Should be right there again. I think those are the only 4 that can win. 1, 3, 5, 7.
Finish him.
I'm too deep in the last. I was back and forth on whether or not to use Fox Valley Cadet, just because that last race in particular, even though he gets post relief, it doesn't stand out. He only won by a nose.
What's 7,500 claiming?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So if this horse is going to take a lot of play, especially off the post relief, it almost seems like it should be to my interest to go against him, seeing that I don't really think he's that strong of a favorite.
Okay.
And I take 2 horses. We all agree on Danish Du Jour. That last race really stands out, coming in 27 and change to finish 4th by only half a length. And in all honesty, if this horse is any closer to the pace, he could only perform better, especially considering that was his first race where he didn't really have much of an excuse off the claim back on February 2nd, went over to Freehold, tossed that race. Next race from the 9 hole in the slop, went to the lead but didn't do much else. You could toss that race in the slop, and so he puts in an actual genuine performance, and we can only expect him to put in a similar one, or at least an improvement of that, given he gets the track conditions that he preferred last time out this week around. And the 6, Mr. 6, is the other one I use. His last race here at the Meadowlands, he double parked for most of the race and was totally out of it, finishing 10th by 15 lengths. Went back to Freehold, where he parked again, parked some more. This horse has gotten the worst trip, so comes back to the $7,500 claiming level. And to me, it seems like he hasn't really had much of a chance to show his form. And if anything, from being consistently parked in his last few races, I can assume that this horse has something to offer, especially on the bigger track. So I'm going to take a bit of a shot there in that last leg, going 5 and 6, which makes my ticket for 50 cents go as follows. I'm 1-9 with 1-4-5-6 with 1-2-8 with 5-6. That's $24 for 50 cents. Mike, your ticket.
1, 6, 8, 9 with 1, with 2, 5, 7, 8, with 1, 3, 5, 7. It's 32 for 50 cents.
And Rod.
1 with 1, 2, 5 with 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 with 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. It's $37.50 for 50 cents.
That is correct. Now there's one last piece of agenda on this itinerary, and that is the George Morton Levy series. Now,